Hi there, this is me, Chito from your trusted data analyst. Thank you for trusting us with this project. We appreciate. So today we are presenting our analysis and feasibility studies on the launching of an e-commerce site by the Law Bookshop. Let's start, please. The company plans to launch a new e-commerce site in 6 months' time and needs to analyze current sales so they can be able to carry out feasibility studies of launching the site. That's the objective of the project. Let's dive into the main analysis. Immediately I started generating reports and saw the huge discrepancy between 2021 and 2022 sales and profits. I assumed instantly that the data is not complete and immediately contacted Mr. Mike, your manager, to cross-check the data I have. To my amazement, he confirmed it. He explained that after COVID-19 pandemic, your company saw the need to computerize its sales and record and plans to establish an e-commerce site in a few years' time. So you can be able to enable your customers order learning materials online. I quite understand the aspect of building an e-commerce site because that was the objective of the current analysis I'm conducting. He also said prior to the COVID-19, you were tracking all sales by writing them on physical books or registers and have quite a lot of books to reference. But when you decided to computerize your records, most of your staff were still writing most sales on register until you decided to enforce use of computer in 2022. That was when they started entering all the sales that they made. However, the huge sales difference triggers so many questions that must be answered before progressing to e-commerce site. Also, certain processes must be carried out before you can proceed. Okay. But before I raise those questions, let's look at the data we have so that we understand what we are talking about. Okay, here on the screen, on the presentation, on the slide, we can see a table. The table has the months from January to December for 2021 and 2022 with their sales for the year 2021 and 2022 and their grand totals. So looking at the totals, we can see immediately that 2021, their data is not complete because we are talking of 18.8 million, whereas the 2022 is giving us 134 million. So I believe this 2021 sales should be higher than this. So that's where I saw the main discrepancy. So beside the table, where we have the donut charts, kind of charts, looking at it, we can see the books that made most sales for the period of these 2 years. So looking at this, English Learner's Book is the highest sold books. We can see it there, followed by Mathematics Learner's Book, then Complete Mathematics, and so on. So this shows us the books that people or customers order more. So below is we are looking at a chart that shows all the publishers that made more sales than the rest of the publishers. So looking at it here, we can see that Cambridge, actually, most of their books are ordered more than other publishers. The different colors shows us the different books of the Cambridge publisher that people buy mostly. Yes. So here we are trying to see the values of the books that we are the bestsellers books. So here we are looking at English Learner's Book, and for the period of 2 years, we sold 840,000 naira worth of the books. So this is the book that the customers order more. So let's go. Likewise, under it, we are trying to see the publisher that customers order their books more, and Cambridge is boldly written there. You can see that Cambridge, for the period of the 2 year publisher, the sale for Cambridge, we are looking at the sale for 5.3 million. I think this for 1 year, for 2021, November 2021, not for the period of 2 years. Sorry, I beg your pardon. So this for the Cambridge November 2021, the total of 5.3 million sales were made for Cambridge. So let's move on. We are still dissecting, looking into Cambridge. So here we're looking at the grand total for the period of 2 years. So for the period of 2 years, Cambridge made sales of 20.7 million. This chart here shows us the exact figure. All right. So here too, we are looking at the figures of the publishers. The table here shows us, looking at the table, we can see Cambridge appeared twice. The first Cambridge is sales made in 2021. Total sales for Cambridge in 2021 is 7.3 million. Whereas total sales for Cambridge in 2022 is 13.3 million. So the table shows us the figures for publishers and the books they ordered. So the chart beside it, the one on top shows us the total sale for each year for 2021 and 2022. The way I want us to pay more attention is the one below, the one with the pink. So here, the pink chart, the blue one shows us the sales made each year. So the dark blue one is 2022, the lighter blue one is 2021. However, the line shows us the profit margin. So I think the next slide will show us the profit made for each. So looking at this line here, you can see for the month of May, a profit of 7.3 million was made for the month of May 2022. So this shows us the details of the profits. Likewise, the one on top shows us a breakdown of all the sales made in 2021. It's highlighted here. If you take your pointer to the 2022, the tooltip will come out and show you the sales for 2022, just like this, the way it is here. So here the table shows us, we are looking at the profit here. We are calculating the profit of the sales made in 2021, 2022. So like I was made to understand, your profit margin is 30% across board for all items. So, and that's how it is here. So like I was saying, your profit margin is 30% across board. So this gives you a detail of your profits month by month for the 2 years. Whereas the chart beside it also shows you the profits. And if you just take your mouse close to it, it shows you, like here we have it here. The pointer is on the 2022 September, and in this month we made 38.7 million, and the profit is 11.6 million. So we can see the details of the profit on the charts. All right. I really cannot tell if there was a growth or loss from the data, since I'm working with incomplete data. Hence, it is important for us to carry out data entry. All the sales you made for over 10 years must be entered so we can have certainty, we can see all the data and know what we are talking about. I was informed that your profit margin for all products is 30%, like I said earlier. However, the data I received They include inventories, so I can track the sales to inventory. And inventory data is as important as sales data. We cannot be tracking only sales without linking them back to the inventory to know what really happened. When was this inventory sold? And so on. Now, this per item, I mean. The data I received has uniform dates for each month. All the month has only one date, 30th, including February. Sales cannot be tracked to daily sales. You really need to look into the software you are using to track your sales. I seriously believe something is fishy somewhere. I mean, we should be able to look at the sales you made on a particular date, not just giving me one date and you say that on the 30th, you now uh, sum up all the data the sales you made and then put it forward. No, let's have the details so that we know what we are looking into. I recommend that you exclude all your staff from getting involved in the data entry so that we know where the problem is coming from. If you can outsource it, outsource it. Let other company, other people do the data entry. So there won't be any form of manipulation. I was made to understand that we have 3 outlets. However, I received a consolidated data that cannot be tracked to each of the outlets. We need to track sales to each of the outlets. So if outlet 1 made sales of 1 million, how do we know that this 1 million is coming from outlet 1? We need to track to the outlet so that you know the outlet that makes more sales. That will give you a better, give you more information on how your business is going. So let's look at the major drivers of the sales. Your sales were really good. I can imagine what the figures will look like if we are looking into if we are working with the data for 10 years. However, you really need to identify what is responsible for the sales. Is it your brand, good customer relationship, flexible payment plans, or marketing? Any one of these that is driving or attracting customers to your business, we need to identify that and pay more attention to it because that's what brings in most of the sales. So you need to look down and identify which of these are the ones that brings in more customers. You invest more money in that. That's what you need to do. Also, let's go into the next task that should be carried out. The first is data entry, like I said earlier. We need to enter all the data. I've emphasized enough on that. The next one is training. There is need to train and retrain your employees. Also, you need to develop a recruitment plan and database that can enable you to recruit faster. If the business grows faster and bigger than your employees when the e-commerce site is launched, you really need to control your inventory. Currently, stocks are supplied to the 3 outlets you have. I recommend you centralize your inventory, set up a warehouse where all stocks come in first. And from each of the from there, you can now distribute stocks to each of your outlets instead of just buying stocks and then sending it. How do you track all these things? So if we this is the next step that should be carried out. I'm very sure that once these tasks are carried out, your business will be on its way to success, to the next level. All right, so in summary, your business is doing fine, and I'm sure you will make more sales by the time the e-commerce site is launched. But you need to diplomatically check what and how your employees enter your your sales record. It is very important that you set up a warehouse so you can control your inventory and track sales to inventory. That's very important because what we are doing now is we are seeing sales, we are not seeing inventory. You need to separate the operations of each of the outlets and the warehouse. So my recommendation is that once the warehouse is set up, the warehouse will be the one that will be supplying the three outlets. Also, for the e-commerce side, let the warehouse be supplying the e-commerce side. However, that doesn't mean you cannot use the three outlets, because a customer that can order something online and outlet A might be closer to that customer. If that is the case, we have to set up a channel that we need to track that this was actually sold through the e-commerce side, not by a walking customer. So let's standardize everything and make sure that things are working properly. So with this, I believe that we have given you a detailed information about your feasibility studies and an analysis about launching the e-commerce site. I'll be sending you more materials that will help us track all these tasks and everything that we are doing. But in case you have any questions, please do not hesitate to refer to me. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.